for those that aren't live, you're not hearing this live. You're hearing it recorded when we released it. But we're live for the people that are live. So, sucks to be you for missing out, I guess. But, you listening to it live, I guess sucks to be them because they don't get the wonderful magic wizardry of Mateo's editing skills. So maybe you make out in the long run. I don't know.
Yeah, you get to see behind the curtain, and we're both in our underwear
and listen to
sweaty.
Me bitch about cables for fucking 15 minutes.
Oh man, dude, did you see that Spider-Man I sent you? I swear to God, they put me in the Spider-Verse. That was my daughter was like, "That's not even funny. It's you."
Did you got to post that if you have not?
Oh, I did.
Everybody needs to see that. It's goddamn amazing because it is. Do you have a fully gray beard these days?
It's really, really getting there. I have that big weird Doctor Strange stripe. It's like to the left of on my chin, but now like my sideburns were gray, but now that goes all the way down into my beard. So it's like,
so you look like Tom Araya now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. That's hilarious. Yeah, but for those that have not seen it, there's an issue of the Spider-Verse where there's an old man Peter Parker swinging, and he's wearing nothing but whitey tighties and his Spider-Man mask, but his huge gray flowing beard is sticking out from under it. It's fucking hilarious. It's goddamn Mateo if he ever gets his tattoos lasered off.
Yeah, my wife literally was like, "If you don't cosplay this at GalaxyCon, I'll never forget."
Yeah,
you.
for real. You need to do that.
I don't want to get arrested being in my underwear at a family function.
You're at a goddamn comic book convention. You're not gonna.
I know.
You're not gonna get arrested for wearing underwear. Like, there's gonna be girls that are wearing nothing but pasties.
Oh yeah,
and they're gonna be. Granted, they're probably gonna be a lot prettier than you are, but look, there's somebody that's gonna think you're pretty, Mateo. I know you're somebody is out there. They're going to be like, "Holy fuck, look at that underwear old man Spider-Man." That's right, baby.
Yep.
Give her a little thwip or two, you know what I'm saying?
We shall see. If I get to thwip something, I will walk around in my underwear.
If there's thwipping involved, I will keep my pants at home. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. So go to the GalaxyCon, meet Mateo.
I might be in my underwear.
He'll sign your underwear.
Yeah. Or maybe you can sign mine.
Bring your pair of Hanes. They are preferably washed, and he'll sign them.
Yep. I'll be doing that now.
We'll also sell them through Patreon. So if you're not on Patreon, go to Patreon and get there so that you can get your pair of signed Mateo underpants.
God, dude.
They're very limited. And the worn ones are only available for the top tier of Patreon. So if you want the show worn underwears,
you
gotta get in at the top. Yeah, guaranteed to have been worn while recording the show. We've got a certificate of authenticity that comes along with it and everything.
Oh boy.
Yeah, what a fucking start to this one, huh?
Show fundies.
Yeah. But we have an actual show, guys. We're not just here to talk about Mateo and his underwear as much as that's what the people want. And the Nicholas in the chat is relating that her husband wants ones that Mateo have peed in. So.
Oh wow. Okay, hold on.
That's gonna cost you a lot more than top tier Patreon, sir. As Mateo's underwear pimp, we're gonna need top dollar for the peed in ones. Why do you guys listen to this show? God damn it.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you do, but why?
So this is how live shows are gonna go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure somebody that's not here will find some of this entertaining somewhere, maybe. If for those of you listening at home, I guess it's too late. I was going to tell you to skip all the bullshit, but you're already here, so I'm sorry. But let's get to the subject at hand here. How familiar are you with the Fountain of Youth?
I don't know. It's one of those things that was already like a myth by the time I was a younger kid reading up on this stuff. Like there's every culture has a Fountain of Youth. It's been used in nonfiction and fiction alike. So I don't know. It just has always been a cool idea. I don't think many religions, at least Christianity, doesn't mention an actual like Fountain of Youth.
Well, actually, there is something kind of like the Fountain of Youth in one of the Gospels.
Really? Ooh.
Yeah. But I guess since it's in the Gospel, you could debate whether or not it was the actual fountain, or if maybe it was a miracle itself. But in the Gospel of John, there was a paralytic guy who was bathed in the pool of Bethesda, and he came out completely healed. But it said that and the reason I say, I get, you can debate whether it's an actual Fountain of Youth or a miracle, or maybe both. Maybe the miracle is that the Fountain of Youth exists, but this particular pool, the pool of Bethesda, yes, Bethesda, it was said that an angel would descend from heaven to stir the waters. And then the first person that stepped in the water after the angel stirred it would be healed of whatever malady afflicted them. So whether that's like a Fountain of Youth or a Fountain of Healing, I guess you could debate whether or not the two are the same, or if they serve different functions. There's also the Elixir of Life thing, and a lot of times the Elixir of Life gets tied to the Fountain of Youth, like it's water taken from the Fountain of Youth and then you drink it. And it's weird that they kind of, their histories kind of go, I don't want to say they go hand in hand because they're two different cultures, but they kind of sprung around the same time. One was, well, I say the same time, but within a few centuries of each other, but they both were talked about before the Common Era. So the first mention of the Elixir of Life was actually found in the Epic of Gilgamesh from the second millennium, but the first mentions of the Fountain of Youth were mentioned by Herodotus in, I believe, the 4th century. Might have been the 5th century.
So the Elixir of Life is something we can run wild with our imagination of what that can mean. But officially, what is the Fountain of Youth supposed to do? Is this the Lazarus pit? Is supposed to heal any wound, or once you drink it?
So it's not really a Lazarus. It's supposed to provide longevity. Is this like, it's not a means of immortality, like the Elixir of Life is said to be. But it's it's something that, so when it was first brought up, it was brought up by Herodotus. He referred to it as the land of the Macrobians. And the Macrobians were a people, they were considered a legendary people, but they were said to live in the Horn of Africa. And at that point in time, it was thought that it was this was the farthest south that the Greeks were aware of. So this was like the extreme south of the known world.
Right.
And so he said that there was a special kind of water in their kingdom that would grant them exceptional longevity. It was said that they could live up to 120 years old, and all they did was eat boiled flesh, I'm presuming animal flesh, and they would drink nothing but milk.
Ooh.
But
lactose tolerant.
But they had a fountain that they would wash in, and when they came out of the water, their skin was glossy and sleek. He said, like they had been bathed in oil, and they came out smelling like violets.
Ooh.
And it was said that this water in the fountain, they considered it to be weak, which meant to them that nothing would float in it. So no matter what you put in it, whether it be wood or a leaf, everything would sink to the bottom. But according to Herodotus, this was the cause of their longevity, was bathing in these waters. But with the Elixir of Life, it was mentioned initially in the Epic of Gilgamesh, but he seeks out this mythological figure named Utnapishtim, and he's famous because he was the being in Mesopotamian mythology that survived the Great Flood, which, the Great Flood that's told about in every myth and religion across the world. But he was directed to find a plant at the bottom of the sea, and then from that plant they'd be able to make the Elixir of Life. So Gilgamesh finds it, and before he can use it to make the Elixir of Life, a serpent steals it from him. And as a result of the serpent stealing this, all serpents were then seen to have mystical forms of rejuvenation. But it's this whole thing, it's the Epic of Gilgamesh. We know it's not an actual historical text, but it's so this would kind of be like a mythological explanation for why snakes shed their skin, basically. And in a lot of mythology and folklore, snakes are considered to be symbols of immortality or rejuvenation because of their ability to shed their skin. They leave their skin behind and they come out looking all brand new and sexy. My snake just shed today, actually, and took a gargantuan dump while he was doing it. It was a fucking literal shit show when I looked in there today. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not here to talk about my snake shit. But it's interesting how these things that start in mythology kind of tend to flow in and out of myth, and then from myth kind of get into like folklore or urban legend territory at the time. And at some point, sometimes people take it as fact. And like the Elixir of Life, for instance, the whole thing, I shouldn't say the whole thing, but the first recorded documentation of it was, like I said, the Epic of Gilgamesh. But in China during the Qin dynasty, there was an alchemist named Zhu Fu who went out into the eastern seas with 500 young men and women to find the Elixir of Life in the Penglai Mountains. He came back after his journey and was not successful. So for some reason, he decided 500 young men and 500 young women weren't going to do it. So if he really wanted to do it, he had to get 3,000 young girls and boys and bring them on an expedition.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he left on an expedition and was never heard from again. There is a legend that says that he found Japan, but maybe they all got eaten by a sea monster. I don't know.
Or he was just a creepy old bastard and he just parked it somewhere.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that one. In my mind, he either found Japan or got eaten by a sea monster, and those are the only two options. That I will accept no other slander on Zhu Fu's name. He did not do the things that you were insinuating. He fought bravely against the sea monster, who picked the children off one by one until finally it was just Zhu Fu and the sea monster. And he sat there strapped to the mast of the ship, screaming obscenities at the sea monster. And then eventually the sea monster said, "You know what? Fuck you." And he put a hole in the ship and swam away, leaving Zhu Fu to drown aboard the ship after murdering his entire crew like a savage.
See, in my story, Zhu Fu just throws one child into the water to the sea monster at a time, and then he gets 30 yards and then throws another one out. And then finally finds Japan. He's
slowly appeases it, and then he runs out of children. He's like, "Ah, shit, now what?"
Yep.
No, Zhu Fu's a hero, you son of a bitch. How dare you? A legendary hero. He probably used fucking magic, too. He was probably trying to shoot fireballs and shit.
Yep.
But he wasn't the only one in ancient China that was trying to find an elixir of life or something along those lines. There was, in fact, so many different attempts at different sorts of substances that people would ingest or swallow. People were taking jade, cinnabar, hematite, fucking gold. They gold especially because it was obviously of great value, but it was also the metal itself doesn't tarnish. So they were thinking, oh, if we could mix gold in with like water or some other sort of concoction where we can drink it, then, you know, clearly we're going to benefit from that and we'll be fine. There was a alchemical book that was going around in the 5th and 6th centuries by someone referred to as the king of medicine. But he broke down all these details of how to create elixirs of immortality. And in his recipes, he included some of the ingredients were mercury, sulfur, arsenic, as well as different metals or precious stones. But this sort of thing got to be like so out of control that there was actually a condition known as Chinese alchemical elixir poisoning.
Oh, no.
There was actually an emperor in the Ming Dynasty that died from drinking an elixir of life that was created by his personal alchemist.
Whoops.
kind of did the opposite thing there, bud. But I mean, there's
he said elixir of life. Oh,
how many different weird things get sold for like healing, like oh, use this magnetic stone and place it over your heart and your blood will flow better.
Yeah, there's actually,
or
I don't know why in my Instagram feed all these it's like Amish medicine or Appalachian medicine, and just what you always wonder, like what did people, 100 years ago, 200 years ago do to treat all these different things? And they sell big old books with the weirdest fucking,
oh yeah.
Some
of that stuff though, honestly, there's a lot of it that's complete bullshit. But there's some of it that is actually true. Like if you study plants and the benefits of specific herbs, or how to make tinctures out of roots from specific plants, that you really can gain benefits from it. Like for instance, dandelion root. If you make a tincture out of dandelions, it's good for your gut health as well as inflammation.
Yeah, I just saw a report where they're saying that dandelion root is one of the leading things that destroys cancer cells, actually.
Really? Well, there you go.
I just saw that yesterday.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is definitely something to it, but also there's a lot of bullshit out there.
Yeah, I bet. There's it just like with everything else these days, that's got to be some dude that has a big backyard. Probably something like yours who films shit and is just saying whatever the fuck he wants for views,
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think you need a big backyard. You just need some space. A lot of herbs don't even take up a lot of space. If you have a picnic table, you can have an herb garden. And dandelions are free fucking everywhere. Just go out, bring a trowel and a little bucket with you, and you'll gather all the dandelions you need. The leaves are also really, really good for you to eat in salad.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I wouldn't know anything about that. I'm like a fucking little kid. I still won't eat my veggies.
Really?
Yeah. Well, let me rephrase that. It's not so much veggies. It's the leafy veggies primarily. Like, to me, lettuce is one of the fucking grossest things that I could ever even dream of. Like,
right.
Lettuce and pickles. just the absolute worst.
Yeah, you can put whatever the fuck you want on a salad. You can put all the protein you want, put all the dressing you want. And I just can't. I can't get through a salad. I'm not eating that. But that's like the only one. I love like super earthy vegetables. I have like I don't know. I think it might be some weird thing, but I love the dirtier, nastier, and earthier something tastes, the more I like it.
So you're like into beets and turnips?
Yes.
Yeah, not me.
I can sit around and eat like a handful of radishes.
Oh wow, look at you!
They're good for your stomach.
Radish eating bastard. Yeah, I wish that I could like hypnotize myself or something to get on board, but it's so repulsive to me, and I can't. I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm like a fucking child with my vegetables still, but I will eat. I love peppers. Peppers are fucking awesome. Whatever I can put peppers in, I do. And carrots and potatoes are awesome too.
I can't handle hot stuff, and I love the taste of most peppers. I can't. Even if it's like not highly spicy. If it's not like it's like not gonna burn your mouth, it'll still fucking hurt my stomach. Throwing up blood's not fun.
The capsaicin doesn't work well with you. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Mateo.
Me too. I just want to eat.
I will not make any chili for you.
Oh no! See, I'll eat chili. That's I can.
You'll regret it.
I'll take it. I've heard about your chili for fucking 13 years.
Yeah, I make really good chili.
Yeah, I'll definitely eat your chili and then throw up blood and go into a coma and sweat for a day.
Yeah. Well, I would like to say it's worth it, but I can't guarantee that would be a thing. If that's going to be the end result, but I do like it. I do like to make my chili hot.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I grow typically I'll grow 2 different types of hot peppers every year. This year I'm doing long hot cayenne and jalapenos. So nothing crazy, but it's still, for people that can't handle spice, and the long hot cayenne, this is my first year doing them, but they're very hot. They're hotter than regular cayenne, and they're considerably bigger. They're like probably twice the size.
Wow. Found a youth.
Yeah, if anything, that'll fucking shave years off your life. So
Mike's chili is...
I guess my chili is the opposite of the elixir of life. Well, I guess maybe it might be more in line with Chinese elixir of life.
Right.
In that it'll kill you eventually.
It could do wonders or kill you.
Or both. It'll do wonders and then kill you unexpectedly. Like, oh, I feel so fucking good right now. And then your heart stops and you're like, oh shit, chili strikes again. Maybe my chili will be so legendary that some explorer will someday hear about it and hunt down the mystical food of immortality and then just be disappointed and go to Wendy's instead.
And eat their chili.
But the Fountain of Youth, though, there actually was, well, there's so a lot of the Fountain of Youth obviously is steeped in legend because no one ever has heard of it. But there is some historical documentation of someone actually hunting for it. And not just someone, but a very famous explorer. Does the name Juan Ponce de Leon mean anything to you?
Yes, I have heard this name.
Yeah, he's a bastard conquistador, but he led the first European expedition into Puerto Rico and Florida. So he's kind of a big deal. But there's a background where, I shouldn't say a background, there's a legend that tells of him in these expeditions seeking out the Fountain of Youth. So initially, Ponce de Leon was sent by royal charter to discover a land that was called Benini, which you may know as Bimini, as in the Bimini Road.
Mm-hmm.
But for those that don't know, Bimini it's a district in the Western Bahamas that's like an island chain. But there's a thing called the Bimini Road that at one point in time was theorized to have been part of Atlantis. But it's a roadway. It looks like a roadway under the ocean. There's some scientists that say it's a natural formation, but it very much looks like an actual roadway. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look it up and draw your own conclusions. So Ponce de Leon goes on his trip looking for Bimini and comes across a group of indigenous people. Now keep in mind that much like Columbus, who thought he was in India like a fucking moron, this guy wasn't really sure where he was either. And I say like a fucking moron just because Columbus is a piece of shit, but in reality, this is uncharted territory, and nobody knew what the fuck that was when they didn't even know this place existed. So, fair enough, I suppose. May as well have been India. Sure, why not? But anyway, he was looking for Bimini, and he meets up with this group of indigenous people, and he writes descriptions of them, and it's thought that he ended up in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico rather than in the Bahamas, and was speaking with or ran into the Mayans. But in his interaction with them, he heard this legend of a place called Boinca, and there was a fountain of youth in Boinca. But because of him misconstruing where he was, the legend of the fountain youth got tied to Bimini in the Bahamas instead of in Boinca, which was a place in the Yucatan Peninsula. The thing is, though, there is never any mention of a search for the Fountain of Youth in any of Ponce de Leon's writing. The connection gets made years later in different historical documents and memoirs. So in 1535, Gonzalo Fernandez de Oviedo wrote a book about the history of the region. And in this book, he wrote that Ponce de Leon was looking for the Fountain of Youth in Bimini because he wanted to regain his youthfulness, because at this point he was getting older and mortality was looking down the barrel at him, and he just wanted to be young again, man. He wanted to be able to do backbends without severe shooting pain. Dude spends all his time on a boat. Like he just wants to chill. But there's people who have gone over this particular work and think that Oviedo's account of events may have been embellished or maybe completely created in order to try to generate favor in the courts of Spain at the time. But there was a similar account that appeared in a book written by Francisco Lopez in 1551. And he also mentions that Ponce de Leon was looking in the waters of, or the area around Bimini for the Fountain of Youth. There was a memoir who was written by a man named Hernando de Escalante Fontaneda, and he wrote his memoir in 1575. In his memoirs, he mentions Ponce de Leon looking for the Fountain of Youth in Florida. And Fontaneda had spent 17 years as a captive of the natives in Florida at the time. He was on a ship that got shipwrecked, and as a boy, he washed ashore onto Florida, where he was taken captive by the local tribe there. And he talks about having personally witnessed the Fountain of Youth, and he said they were waters that could cure you, and they came from a river, and he referred to the river as Jordan, which I'm assuming is the River Jordan, the biblical river that still exists. But I think he was kind of making the biblical connection. But he said that at this point in time, Ponce de Leon was looking for the Fountain of Youth. But he also admits, Fontaneda also admits that it's likely that these stories were made up. He doesn't actually believe that in his exploration of Florida that he was actually looking for the Fountain of Youth. It was just kind of a story that gets attached to it. But now there is a Fountain of Youth archaeological park that exists in St. Augustine, Florida. And it's like a tribute to Ponce de Leon and his search for the fabled Fountain of Youth.
Wow.
So, me personally, I don't think that he was actually looking for it. I think a lot of this stuff was, just made up fables. I mean, there's a history of that as well. Like the long before Ponce de Leon, there's a legend attributed to Alexander the Great, where Alexander and one of his servants were crossing the land of darkness, which is this mythical land that's always covered in perpetual darkness. It's like your classic fantasy Dark Lord realm. It's always night, and there's probably lightning flashing and skulls littering the ground and shit. But it was also known as the Forest of Abkaza. So, it's got a cool name. But they were crossing the land of darkness to find the Fountain of Youth. And they end up going on this long trip in search of the Fountain of Youth. And this story got kind of crossed over with Middle Eastern legends of a sage named Al-Qadar, who also shows up in the Quran, and apparently that sage is tied to Alexander the Great's servant. And there's just all this overlap, but this particular legend seemed to find a rise in popularity in Spain when Spain was under Moorish rule. But these accounts of Alexander the Great and his servant searching for the Fountain of Youth in the land of darkness was later used to inspire this medieval fantasy called Mendeville's Travels, which was a group of stories that was supposed to be like a travelogue of this Englishman named John Mandeville as he was traveling across India and China. And so there's a story included in there that mentions that the Fountain of Youth was found at the foot of a mountain outside of Colombe, which is or was a place in India. I think now it's referred to by a different name. But the stories in this book kind of mirrored the legends told about Alexander the Great. And we know Alexander the Great was an actual historical character, but with a lot of historical characters, especially back then, they kind of start to take on mythological status. So they start to be myths attributed to them, and things kind of get a little supernatural over time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting though that like I guess I shouldn't say it's interesting, because it's obvious that that these sort of things would persist. But it's funny that we have these old stories told as being fact by Herodotus, and then based out of that, we have myths surrounding an actual historical character, which then delve into fictional stories of characters with the same themes and everything. And the Fountain of Youth continues on, through the New World over in Florida and maybe the Bahamas, or also the Yucatan Peninsula, depending on where you actually are. But I think it's just a persistence or the myth is so persistent because a lot of people view their mortality negatively, and everyone's always like, oh, reminiscing about being a kid and longing for the vigors of youth. And I think it's one of those things. My grandma always used to say this to me, and I didn't understand it at the time, but now being old, I very much identify it. But she always used to say that youth is wasted on the young, and it's so fucking true.
It sure is.
And I think that's kind of the lens through which we're looking at with these myths. It's just the constant fight against your own mortality and your own aging, and the hope that maybe there's something there. And for some people, they'll go to a healthy diet and working out. Some people will go to surgery and make themselves look younger, even if they're not actually younger. At least they can take on the appearance. Some people just age gracefully, and they're like, you know what, fuck it, I'm getting old, and that's the way life goes. But no matter what your view on it is, you're always going to look back fondly at, like, oh, when I was this age, or like now I'm in my mid, and I look back and I'm like, oh fuck, man, to be in my early 20s again, like that was prime time to be alive. Even go back and to be a teen again, like fuck. Especially if I could go back in time, the 90s were awesome. But it's, and I'm one that I don't even, to me, like aging, I don't really give a shit, other than the fact that my body is deteriorating with age. To me, life is exhausting. So like, let's fucking hurry up and get there. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not looking to prolong this life by any means. But I understand the drive, I guess I should say, or the longing to want to stay young. But I think that's why we have all these myths, and why plastic surgery is a thing, and nobody like is out there being like, you know what, I would love to have some cancer, please. And then and go that way, and I don't know. There's just like so many things with the end of human life that sucks, and nobody wants to go through that. And I could see that also being a thing, like just fear of death. But then there's other people that just fucking bring it. Let's go. When it gets here, it gets here, and that's just the way life is.
Right. Yeah, there's plenty of life experiences and situations that can demystify death and make it not so spooky or scary. And that alone, just going through things, and that can happen to somebody when they're really young too, and just have that, like, all right, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, the scariest part is losing my mental faculties. Like that's the scariest thing for me. I've seen people go through Alzheimer's, and that's terrifying. And my only hope is to not reach that stage. Like that would be one thing I would consider a fountain of youth for, is if my brain was going and I couldn't, grasp reality anymore. I'd be like, all right, let's tap into that. Give me some of that brain juice.
Right.
But
that's a good point.
Physically aging, that's just the way it goes. I'm not worried about that. I'll be old. Fortunately, I'm not graying yet. I'm not graying, I'm not balding. So that's cool. I still have a baby face. Like, people don't believe me when I say I'm in my mid, but I assure you I am. I still get carded, dude, for fucking, I just went to buy a pack of rolling papers today.
And they carded
I got carded for buying rolling papers.
Nice.
And I'm like, dude, do I seriously not look 18 to you? Come on.
That's hilarious.
And they're not supposed to card you like over the age of, I think it's 35 or 37. I can't remember. But I've never not been carded. It's fucking ridiculous. But I'm like, I'm oh, thank you. Yeah. And then they look at my ID, and my ID was from like fucking, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. So it doesn't even look like me at all, because at that point in time, I had a bald face and a shaved head. So now people look at it and they look at me, and I'm like, dude, come on. If you're going to buy that picture there is of age, like, just look at me now. Fucking simmer down.
How funny.
Eyeballing me like, is this a fake ID, boy? Yes, sir, it is. I look older now, so I'm using a younger kid's ID to, yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Some people are just fucking idiots.
They can't help it.
Yeah, what can you do? So what's this I'm hearing about liquefying Duracell batteries?
What? I want to look.
Sam in the chat just said that he heard liquefying Duracell batteries and injecting it into your bloodstream keeps your mind young. He's going to test it out, though, and report back. So
don't do that.
I will wait with bated breath and see what he comes back with. I am curious regarding the method of liquefying these batteries, though. Because, like, are you going to then be injecting molten battery juice because you're liquefying them? Because I would imagine if you let it cool, it'll harden again.
He's got to do like a Wolverine adamantium transplant thing.
Yeah, maybe coat your brain with it.
Oh, gee.
That's how it keeps your mind young. You coated your brain with battery juice, and now your brain's just a battery.
Then you'll have battery brain, bro.
It'll just start walking around beating a giant bass drum, wearing some cool sunglasses. But I don't know. I would like to think that there was a mystical fountain. I think that's a missed opportunity for Indiana Jones as well.
Absolutely.
We could have had Indiana Jones hunt for the Fountain of Youth. Like, come on, tell me that wouldn't have been an awesome movie. Indiana Jones and the Fountain of Youth. Fuck yeah, I'm on board.
That's got to be a book somewhere, right? That sounds so natural. It has to have existed.
I know, it does. It really does. But I don't know if it is or not. I really want it to be, though.
Right.
I'm going to will it into existence. Can we, rather than making shitty new Indiana Jones movies, can we just get some awesome, like, animated Indiana Jones movies?
Oh, wow.
I think that's the way to go. Like, no one gives a fuck about old man Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. Like, that's not cool anymore. Let's get some prime Indiana Jones stories, but get them animated so that we can actually do Indiana Jones in his prime.
Right.
Or fuck it. Maybe old man Indiana Jones finds a Fountain of Youth, and then we get prime Indiana Jones back.
See, this was the avant-garde music thing from last episode, Mike. We need to put you to work somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, just give me a recording studio and an unlimited budget and Harrison Ford, and we'll fucking make it happen.
Yeah.
Somehow I'm going to convince Harrison Ford to fucking fly me in a plane somewhere.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Because he's a pilot, so
yeah.
Fly me away. Let's go. Let's go to fucking Bimini, and we'll shoot on location, and you can fly me there.
Do it.
And then, well, isn't this animated? Yeah, it's animated, but I think we should still fly to the fucking location.
Get the feel for the place.
And then while he's flying, I'll just throw a bunch of fucking glass against a wall and scream like a madman and record it, and that'll be my second album.
Oh my God.
And it'll say, the album will be called Flying with Han Solo.
There you have it, folks. I'm not even going to try to put out songs anymore.
Just let me throw shit around and scream like a madman.
Mm-hmm. I'm out.
Yeah. Mike Patton, eat your heart out.
Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Enjoy the podcast. get yourself a Whatcast t-shirt or a sticker pack. Who was that dude on that one episode? Try the links in Homie's page. All this and more can be found at www.thewhatcasters.com. Thanks again for listening and have a great week.
You're not ready, but we will still save you. In your quest for self-destruction, you will send up more satellites, and we will be there, waiting to come again.